Can you hear me
Well,
now?
yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you now.
Okay. So, but why invoke Earth, Wind, and Fire? Just to give the spell more kick?
Yeah, just to give it more kick, just to make sure it works properly. Just to, the point is that even though you're working with one entity, you're also working with the entity's minions as well. Okay,
Right.
So it tells you in the Bible, when Jesus exorcised the demon, it told him in no uncertain terms, we are we are legion. Yeah. Okay. So you're never ever working with just one entity. You're working with its tribe, so to speak.
I know somebody that it was in this chat group I'm in. He had black magic done on him in a previous life. He was a German soldier who went into Russia, and they all killed themselves, and apparently he saw that it was black magic done on him. If that carries over to this life, how would he expel that black magic done by Stalin?
Well, I mean, there is there's the $100 million question. First, you have to understand what entity was used. Okay, yeah, that would be a big one. Secondly, for it to carry over into a second life, you're dealing with some really heavy duty magician, to put it bluntly. So you would have to find the entity, you would have to find the magician, and then you would have to find what day it was, what date it was, what was the astronomical alignment. And once you found all that, then you probably got a good chance of removing the curse. However, it wouldn't be easy because, for it to kill so many people, it must be quite a strong curse, or quite a strong entity was used.
What entities do you think did someone like Stalin use then in war?
Well, I mean, it's not just Stalin. I mean, Churchill, they all used entities. I mean, there was the famous case of all the witches cursing Hitler, wasn't there, in the New Forest? Once again, I mean, there's Belial strings to mind. I would say Belial would be definitely one of the entities they would use. They probably have access to some very dark jinn. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's once again, like I said, it's very difficult getting to the bottom of this, because you've got to find out what entity they used, what astrological alignment they used.
So how, when they use it in wartime, who is using? Because Putin complained that it was being used on him, and the soldiers were charged with it. I mean, how is it used? How? So say it was. I mean, how does it happen?
The only clue we've got is John Dee, isn't it? I mean, John Dee was in charge of Elizabeth's security. However, he was a black magician. So, there is a direct correlation between using black magicians and government security. Although it was like literally hundreds of years ago, usually these events are markers as to what's going on now. So, I mean, there was rumours that Crowley met Winston Churchill, isn't there? Whether he did or not, I don't know. But I mean, Crowley was certainly an undercover agent. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, I mean, and he was working for the government. So to me, it's likely that he probably met Churchill. And if he met Churchill, the security services were absolutely sure that he was a magician, because essentially, you know, that would be his only use to Churchill in reality, because I mean, his other occupation was a guy who wrote poetry. So writing poetry is not really going to help you beat Hitler, is it? Or invoking some very dark Egyptian god or some very dark jinn would probably put you in better stead. But once again, I don't know what jinn or what entity, Egyptian entity, they would use. But I would imagine, knowing Crowley, it would be an Egyptian entity. Because he was, I mean, his initial training was with the Golden Dawn, and they were, I mean, although they were into a lot of mystical traditions, that their main mystical tradition was the Egyptian pantheon. Yeah.
Right, I see. So, I mean, how would it work when these leaders say they're trying to do it on an army? Would they? So the dark god would kind of like be like a shade that would overwhelm the army and make them kill themselves or something like that? Would that how it would?
Well, you would find a very powerful demon or jinn, or you know, with a legion. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you know, we're talking pretty heavy stuff, and that legion would then attack all the soldiers. You know, that's what it would do. And I mean, but this is stuff even out of my league. It's way up there. You know, these people. I mean, for example, to get this kind of entity to work for you, the type of rituals they do are horrific.
Really? Like what?
Well, one of the ones that I can probably tell you about is they will get something like a bull and sew its mouth up and then roast it on a fire. Yeah, I mean, because it's a bull, that will be related to Baal. Yeah, okay. So, you know, I mean, but this is, you know, this is what they do. You know, I mean, it's really dark. What you know, the stuff.
And when the legion, like this demonic army, would overwhelm the physical army, what effect would it have on the soldiers? Would it make them, I suppose, do something like kill themselves or kill each other?
Well, yeah, it depends on what the sort of the modus operandi of the demon is. Yeah, okay. But for them to kill themselves, I'd imagine it probably put them into a massive state of depression, you know, futility. Yeah. So you would have to look for a demon that is capable of doing that, and then of course then you would have to then inflict it on the army and let it do its thing, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, I can well believe that Stalin used these techniques, and I can well believe that Goebbels used these techniques. I can well believe that Winston Churchill used these techniques because, you know, the evidence is overwhelming. You know, seriously. But however,
hang on, what evidence?
Well, Winston Churchill knew Crowley, yeah.
Oh, I see. So what about now? Who is our Crowley now? We don't really have one, do we?
Well, we don't have one that's publicised, do we? Yeah. You know, I am sure there are sort of very, very dark magicians out there. You know, seriously. But whether or not they're publicised is another thing. I think the only reason why we know about D is because of the comfort of history. You know, there's such a big gap between the Elizabethan times and now. Yeah, okay. But I'm sure in the Elizabethan times you wouldn't know that much about D unless you were part of the court. And I think it's. I mean, if we look back to sort of Ronald Reagan, he had a full-time astrologist. So it's not gone that far away, really. And if if you think about it, you think about the position of Ronald Reagan. Why is he using a full-time astrologist to say when he's doing the best meeting? So there's all the rumours that you see connected with the Hollywood elite and things like that. They are definitely using some dark entities. I mean that's so obvious. Yeah, I mean, like the outcry about the latest film. What's it? Is it Sound of Freedom or something? Something like that. Yeah. I mean, why do you need all these children? Yeah.
Why do they need all these children?
Well, exactly. I mean, I think the big hint is, of course, a few years ago in the Thames, they found the torso of a young boy, didn't they? And that was linked directly to African black magic.
Oh, really?
So yeah, sort of like unfortunately, it's out there, and while people want power, they will attract these gods, which can promise them power, albeit on a temporal level of consciousness. So it's the thing with humanity is it's got such a tremendous ego, and we all have tremendous egos, but not all of us want to rule the world, but some people do.
Yeah, some people, they live like gods. I was watching Succession last night, and the way they live and the way they do deals, which are 100 billion and, all this kind of stuff. And I thought, imagine living like that. The world must be totally different, like, say, my experience of it, But then I thought, do I live in it in a very real way? I mean, living like a peasant, living like a servant isn't much of a life. It tends to be little bit of misery. You get sand kicked in your face, you get exploited, you have to pay the highest fee for the smallest things. So I don't know, is their way a true experience of life? Or is the suffering sandpaper way of a peasant the true experience of life? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think the thing is that we all experience turmoil. If you're a multi-millionaire or trillionaire or whatever it is, then your life is constantly under threat, one would think. And although you don't have the stress of, oh my God, I can't afford to buy bread today, you probably do have the real stress of somebody may kill you. Yeah. Or somebody may put so much pressure on you that you have to behave in a way which is completely different to your personality. So the fact that somebody has a lot of money does not mean to say that they are devoid from the stress that you are.
Yeah.
It's just that they have a different stress. Yeah.
You're right, actually. When I was earning a good living, I had hypochondria and the stress of, oh, I'm going to die, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that, I might go blind. And I think, yeah, you're right, actually. There's always some kind of, because we're beings in little precarious bodies, aren't we? And there's no real safety and security and total comfort, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's look at, say, Donald Trump. Yeah, I mean, love him or hate him, it makes no difference. The fact is that for the last, God knows what, 5 or 6 years, he's been attacked by every state entity you can imagine.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look how many times he's been arrested. Look how many times he's been investigated by the FBI. Yeah. I mean, could you really put up with that kind of pressure?
No.
I don't think I could either. However, he can. So, good luck to him. I mean, I don't care about his political viewpoints. I don't care about anything that he thinks or says, but I do sympathise with somebody who is being attacked by the machine of authority. because that is not a good place to be. Yeah, I mean, you know how you feel when you even get a parking ticket. So imagine times in that by 1,000, understanding that you could spend the rest of your life behind bars. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. You are up against a machine which is designed to crush you. So yeah, it's I don't think there's any difference psychologically between having a lot of money and having no money.
So what's the machine that's out to crush Trump then?
Well, the capitalist machine, what's it Eisenhower said, wasn't it? Is the war industrial complex, yeah, because he doesn't want to conform with their way of thinking, and that makes him a target, yeah.
Right, I see.
So yeah, I mean, anybody who doesn't conform to the status quo will become an immediate enemy to the status quo. You've only got to say, look, if we look at, say, Tony Blair and the fiasco with Saddam Hussein, there's never been any prosecution over that fiasco. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's obvious that Tony Blair lied to the people. However, there's been no recompense, and the reason being is because he was supporting the war machine. Yeah. However, people who object to the war machine get arrested straight away. So yeah, I don't think there's any difference between being a peasant starving to eat and somebody who is got millions and millions of pounds, because I think the pressure is equally as devastating, and it's just both people have to learn to live within that sort of confine.
You're right. Yes.
There is no panacea, Chris.
Okay? I know. What a shame. Well, thank you for coming on the show, and that was really brilliant, and people love hearing from you. So I hope you'll come back again soon.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was great, and I hope everything's going well in London for you. I hear it's raining like there's no tomorrow at the moment.
It's not raining, but it's dull. We haven't got sun, so it's not cold either. So I suppose that's okay. I guess we might catch that heat wave in August. I mean, who knows?
Well, fingers crossed, yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you everyone for listening, and hope to see everyone soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.